Hello and welcome to Emsi Webinars. Thank you for joining us today. We're really excited today to be joined by Emsi's Executive VP of Global Operations, Andy Durman, and VP of European Sales, Marco Tucci. If you have any questions during the course of this webinar, please put them in the GoToWebinar control panel section, and we will endeavour to get back to those at the end of the presentation. We will also be sending out the recording and slides from today's presentation in a follow-up email, so keep your eyes open for that. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to you, Andy. Hello, Andy.
Hi, Debbie. Thank you very much. And hello to everyone. Bonjour, buenos dias, guten tag, buongiorno. It's great of you to join us. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to have my friend and colleague, Marco Tucci, joining me from our Milan office. Hello, Marco.
Hello. Ciao, Andy. Thank you.
Great. We'll hear from Marco presently as we work through, and just a very warm welcome from Emsi Burning Glass UK headquarters here in Hampshire, England. So today we're going to be sharing some of the work that we've been doing and some thinking and exploring we've been doing into the realm of student employability, and thinking about the importance of understanding labour market trends in relation to student choice, in terms of education choice, and thinking about future careers. So we're excited to share a few ideas and thoughts that we have, and to showcase a case study. Before we dive into the meat of the presentation today, just wanted to welcome you if you're first time joiners of our webinar, and just a quick thank you for joining us, and welcome. So we at Emsi Burning Glass are really passionate, as I'm sure you are, about helping communities to thrive in an ever-changing labour market. And our vision really as a business is to be the global authority on understanding the labour market, and particularly in relation to the fact that the world around us is changing ever rapidly towards what we often hear referred to as the future of work, and particularly thinking about the labour market ever more so in the granularity of skills and competencies in terms of how the labour market works and needs to work going forward. And our belief is that as a business who is all about building insight and labour market insight, is ultimately we want to bring that insight and share it with key drivers of prosperity and activity in the labour market, working in the worlds of education, economic planning, and employment as well. And our view is, if we can help you with the information that you need to make great decisions to help your communities, then everyone will thrive, and our economy will, wherever in the world, will thrive and move forward at a time where there's a lot of challenge, of course, in terms of skills gaps and other massive demands on employment opportunity. So we hope that the data that we're building is going to play a really key part in us evolving collectively towards the future of work. So a big part of what we do is really building the data and infrastructure to build that insight. So we pull together data about the labour market from official government sources that help us understand the building blocks and stock of labour within labour markets, through to leveraging online recruitment and professional profile activity, so we can really get to understand what's driving change in the labour market. And a big part of our work is in helping to bring a degree of standardization and sense to data through building libraries and taxonomies that help us speak the same language as we think about the labour market between educators, economic planners, and employers. So we'll showcase some of that as we go through today. So in terms of the topics today, what we're going to dive into is we're going to think about how the changing world around us, particularly in the labour market, is driving and should be driving educators to think a bit differently, perhaps in terms of how how they plan, how they engage, how they position themselves to be as impactful as possible in this changing environment. And then we're going to come on to talk about the role that labour market data and insight can play in terms of supporting that work, and is already playing in terms of supporting that work. And then we are going to showcase some examples for you, just to show you what's already going on out there, and hopefully inspire you to think about how you might evolve your own working practices similarly. So I think the real driver to this is the fact that, you know, the world of work is changing at an ever faster pace and with great complexity. So we have a lot of real disruptors affecting the labour market, and none of this will be new to you. It's all in, you know, very much in the line of sight. But if we think about the fourth industrial revolution, the digitization of work, the rise of artificial intelligence and other activities there, the fact that we're seeing ever more transferability, the need of transferability, particularly in terms of soft or transferable skills, and as we see greater digitization in the labor market, then we need to think about what the human side that really helps us leverage that and is critical to harnessing a digital environment. Of course, the world is getting ever smaller and more interconnected, so the globalization and internationalization agenda is a really critical one that is really influencing big change right across the world. A lot of emergent skills and occupations, working practices, and of course the COVID-19 pandemic that we are coming through and continue to work through has created major shifts culturally, socially, and of course that has had a big impact on the world of work. So there's a lot of change happening and will continue to happen at an ever faster pace. And to my point earlier, I think the other key driver to kind of influence today's thinking is the fact that with that continuous and fast pace of change, we're seeing the labour market starting to work a bit differently. A new language between employers and job seekers. Historically, there was a really strong connection between qualifications and occupations, but as occupations evolve, and as the world of work moves at pace, the great challenge is how education can keep pace. And certainly in the world of employment, yeah, the language really is more about the competencies and skills that employers are seeking as they better describe the sorts of work that they are looking to do, and job seekers speak that same language as they try and position themselves in the market and to position themselves for great opportunities. And so we really are now very much in a skills-based economy, really at that very granular and micro level. So I'm going to bring my friend Marco in here. Hello, Marco. Tell me from your perspective what you're seeing in terms of how this changing world of work is and should be driving forward new thinking, particularly in the world of education.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. The real challenge for now is for the education providers, because as you said, the world is changing, and consequently the labor market is very quickly changing. So we have this big challenge that is very important and must be managed in the correct way. So we have two sides of the same coin. Apart, we have the skills that the employers are seeking for being able to find the right person in order to hire in the organization for solving the company needs. And on the other side, we have the skills, the educator, the education agencies, the universities are teaching to their students. So we are in a skill-based economy, as you said, so we must be able to speak the same languages. So we must be able to compare the skills that companies, the employers are seeking with the skills that educators are teaching. And how can we speak the same languages? Okay, so the labor market data now are critical, but we have because we are using the statistical official statistics that are representative, robust, and so on, but they are missing let me say some details, but the details are very, very important because they the statistical offices don't provide the details, so they are not be able to provide data that are updated, and they are not able to provide data with the correct granularity. So, so at the end of the day, we need to stay updated, so to have the data in quite real time, and to have a huge importance to the granularity of the data. So, what is the solution that we can have? We can get those data from the online job vacancies, because this is the way in which companies are expressing the demand of jobs. So they are saying as in which way they are going to hire a person, a new employee. So the labor market data have these characteristics, as I said, so they are really up to date because companies are used to daily publish the announcement of the occupation that they need for their companies. They are very detailed because they say, hi, I'm searching for a software engineer, for a sales rep with these characteristics, with the skills, the experience, the education levels, the place, the code. So all these type of elements that are not present in the statistics or are present only in part in the official statistics, but that are present in the job vacancies. And the job vacancies have this characteristic that they are written by companies using the slang of the company. So they are not using taxonomies, UK taxonomy, European taxonomy, no taxonomies. They are using their words in order to express what they need to find. So at the end of the day, our job is simple. We collect daily the job vacancies from the most relevant web sources at international level, and with using artificial intelligence techniques, we are able to extract some information, those information that I mentioned before. So the occupation, the skill, the experience, the education level, in order to provide, to build some insight and provide them to several stakeholders. One of the most important stakeholders for us is are the universities, are the educational agencies, because this is a way in order to keep the languages of these two important player of the labor market, so the employers and the education and the training agencies, to stay aligned. So this is an important message. In this sense, this is the reason for which we develop a solution, a tool for the education provider, that is an Employability Explorer initiative. So the goal of this initiative is to support universities and also other education and training agencies in order to have a review of their university courses, okay, and support the placement office. How we can do this in two different ways. So as I said, the MAP courses, we are able to analyze the courses that the university provide, that the courses that they are delivering to their students, and using the same artificial intelligence techniques that we are using for the analyzing the job posting, we are able to extract the most used market terms associated inside of the course itself. So we are able to extract the occupation and the skills that are currently being taught inside of the university. The second important thing is that we can provide this site in order to compare the courses with the labor market trends.
If I might jump in there, Marco, thank you. That's a really good introduction. Of course, as we reflect with the pace of change and the complexity of the labour market, we need to look to data to help illuminate that, as you've described it, and to build a big enough source really to be able to unpick the major trends, as opposed to get too distracted by individual employers or even individual kind of job searches. So a big part of what you're describing there is really bringing the volume, the ability to localize, of course, but bring a really high volume of data together, big data, to really help us make those connections and and really extract the key priorities. And I think you raised an interesting point about a common language and some way of linking two very different worlds together that have to be closely aligned. And as I said in my intro, historically there was a really good strong link, and very historically, between a qualification, so maybe doing a degree in accountancy, for example, with an occupation, becoming an accountant. But of course, the occupational side, the world of work, has changed rapidly, that there is no such thing as an accountant. There are lots of variants in the field, lots of technologies that some firms will use that are different to other technologies, lots of ways of working. That means there isn't just a generic role these days. And so we need to be able to break it down into its subparts. And I think the great challenge is, as you add complexity on both sides, there needs to be that linking factor. And when I described the work that we did, and I mentioned that we build libraries and taxonomies, a big part of that is in effect trying to find a center ground common language, where we might talk from an education side in terms of courses and attributes that are being developed on the course. Employers use their own language to describe the job that they're seeking to employ people to, and the specific skills that are seeking. But those two worlds exist in very different domains, and so a big part of the purpose of this data is, yes, to illuminate the key trends, but also to find that connecting language that is that educators can understand and connect into, but also employers can, and that connecting language then brings those worlds ever closer together. So very, very interesting. So tell us, Marco, a little bit more then, when you talk about the how here of, in effect, what we might call skillifying education, translating an education, translating a course into its constituent skills, and then thinking about the connection into the labor market. Talk us through a little bit about the practicalities. How does that actually work?
Yes, yes, this is more or less the methodological path that we use for creating this insight. The first step, obviously, is the analysis of the course description that the universities are providing us. And we can extract the data from the description of the course, applying the same methodology that we are using for the web job vacancies. And once that we have extracted a few elements, I mean the job title, the skill, the education level, and so on, we are able to classify according all the official European taxonomy, ISCO, ESCO, because in Europe, university must use the official taxonomies, but also using our legacy taxonomy, because we are using a taxonomy that is very close to the to companies. And at the end, we prepare some dashboards in order to represent the results of the data or the comparison as best as the customer need. So the idea of those insight is to provide a general view in order to reduce the skill gap that we always are looking to the skill needed by the companies and the skill that universities are teaching. Let me give you an example. We more often than you can imagine, we can find job vacancies telling that the company is hiring a junior that has got the degree last year, but must have 5 years of experience. Okay, this is a fun thing, but if you think it is a way of expressing a sort of disease, because the company is saying, okay, you have got a degree in economics, I don't know, in software engineer, but the skills that the university is providing to you are not enough for me, for accessing to my organization, to come to work to me. So you must have acquired few other skills, because university is missing nowadays. So this is the reason for which we developed this tool.
I found, just to elaborate that example, Marco, certainly our experience here in the UK that I'm personally closest to is often the skill. There's two components to that skills gap element that you described. One can be genuinely the course, the program does not deliver the absolute skills needed, because the world of work has perhaps moved on in a way that the education portfolio has not developed at the same pace, and it's maybe based on an assessment of what market need might have been 2-3 years ago. Sometimes there are missing pieces, or actually in other times the skills that employers are looking for are actually inherently built into the program. They're just not very well articulated, and the students haven't been empowered to be able to really describe the key aspects of the course and the learning that's happened in the language that employers can say, yep, you've got that skill, you've got that attribute, you've had that experience. And I think there is an element, if we think about step one here, the process inherently is extracting skills terms that are being are well described. And so part of, I think, the great benefit of changing the mindset and thinking about it in these kind of data terms is often we found when we've skillified education provision, tutors and academics have turned around and said, no, we teach this, it's not picked up. And often it's because it's not particularly well described. And as you addressed module descriptions and the content of what's being described in the course, then it gives a richer sense of the actual skills that are being developed on the program, and therefore helps and empowers those students to better articulate their fit to employer demand as well. So it's not just about the fact that education, there are gaps in the education. Often sometimes it's just more of a language challenge and an understanding challenge.
Yes, our tool is that I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes is also used by career service office department in order to provide to the students that got a degree and to verify their resume. So sometimes the students that got a degree are used to express the skills that they have learned in the university with the wrong terms. They are not using the correct market terms. So the career services are able to provide to the students those type of information. So correct your resume instead of using these terms. Also, if the professors has told you to use this term, you probably would be more employable if you are using those terms, so you can correct your resume and send it again, because it's a way of helping them to improve the quality of their resumes.
Cool. No, thank you, Marcus. So far, just reflecting, we've talked about some of the kind of key drivers. What's the challenge that educators and education providers are grappling with and working through, and then we've outlined ways in which you can bring data about the labour market into the process to help drive that forward. So now, Marco, you're going to take us through a little bit of example just to show some of this actually in action, and hopefully give our viewers today a sense of just the practical application of some of the theory that we've just described. So yeah, take us through, introduce the customer case study that we're going to talk through, and then we can work through some examples and think about the way in which different data points can really help on both sides of that description, one in terms of making sure the course profile is aligned, but then thinking about how we empower advisors to advise students to kind of better connect into the labor market.
Yes, this is an example that for a job that we did for the University of Trento. We are currently working with them to increase the number of university courses. For now, we have done the job with 7 or 8 courses, but this is an example. So you can, this is an example of the user interface that actually the professors of the University of Trento are using this. They can choose the courses that they want to analyze. So, for instance, in the next slide, as an example, I chose the artificial intelligence systems, which is one of the courses that the University of Trento is running. And in this chart, this Yes, in this chart we can, the professors can analyze, can have the job posting trends, and so they can understand if the demand of occupation related to this course is increasing, is declining, or whatever it is. So can understand how in the labor market for this area is going. So in the next slide we have the jobs that are most sought after by the companies. But the real important thing to note in this dashboard that they have, and that in the left column we have market terms. So these are the terms that are used by companies when they are saying, I need to hire a machine learning engineer that must have an artificial intelligence system degree, because I need those type of occupation. So you can fine-tune also your courses, keeping in mind the company's needs. So as you can see, for computer vision engineer is not very relevant to access for the companies in this moment. So probably you must improve the teaching of machine learning techniques, because they are most relevant for the labor market. Okay. The next slide is a general view on the economical sector that are hiring. Actually, they are hiring those occupations, and also the companies, the main companies that are hiring the occupation connected with this degree. The next slide we can have the type of.
Just 1 minute, Marco. I think just as we look at this, it's quite interesting, isn't it, that obviously it would be very easy to think, right, as we think about artificial intelligence, we can see the subcategories to help us refine our thinking a little bit about what local labor market, so labor market data in the local area, you know, where's the demand and what's the alignment there to the labor market. But then think about what sorts of companies employ these roles. It'd be obvious to think, well, yes, of course, it's the IT sector, it's the technology sector, but actually really interesting to see employers that are manufacturing companies also seeking that talent, and financial services. So when we think about the labor market, it's this kind of interesting mix between the job role itself and the industry setting that really helps to hone the connectivity. So, you know, whilst the roles will be similar, the application of artificial intelligence roles in manufacturing might be slightly different to that in financial services or in IT companies. And so again, it just helps to really hone and shape. And reality is the labor market is not a uniform, nicely packaged place. It's this funny hybrid of the business of what the company does versus the nature of the role they are seeking that kind of really rounds it out. And so that ability to look on both sides really should help to kind of sharpen up our understanding of what employers are demand really looks like. So carry on.
Absolutely. This is an example. The example that you made is an example of possibility of fine-tuning the courses, because inside the same courses I can prepare. If I were a professor, I can propose a module for ICT company, okay, but also for finance, also for manufacturing companies, so they can fine-tune the skills that they are teaching.
And this is really the point where the theory and the knowledge starts to really connect to the opportunity. So it's really getting to that employer level now. So to your point about the fine tuning, whether that's modules, whether that's helping to shape the sorts of projects or student placement, so maybe the sorts of employers that we invite in to present how the manufacturing sector is utilizing artificial intelligence. Knowing that that's a big driver is going to help you prioritize that connection, that real connection to the labor market, rather than keeping it so generic that it doesn't have that meaningful reality to it. So I think there's definitely a lot in this being able to drill down on home, particularly as we start to get to that company level and really thinking about whether individual companies or the sectors, industries that those individual companies sit within. So sorry to dwell on that one, but I think this is a really important, valuable connecting point.
No, you're absolutely right. And on top of this, we can also say that this is an information that is useful also for the students, because the career service can say, dear student, you have not only to pay attention to ICT, the job posting for of the ICT companies, but stay tuned also to the manufacturing companies or the financial services company, for the bank, I don't know, because also they are hiring people like you. So yeah, it's a way of
and what you see graphically is, of course, there will be, if we're looking in Italy, whether we're looking in the UK or Germany, there'll be different mixes depending on the types and nature of the underlying economy. And even in, within Italy, whether you're looking in Milano or Roma or wherever, the underlying base will vary. And so a lot of this really, again, it's that connection to the real world opportunities. Yes. So moving on, sorry to dwell.
Sorry. And in this chart, we can see the experience required by the company, and we have also a real granularity also for the experience, but we divided here in two different pillars. So junior profiles up to 2 years of experience, because we are speaking to users that are professors or students, so they are in this target of audience, that so junior profile, and the typology of contract offered by the companies. So the next slide, that is probably the most used dashboard, is related to the skills. And now we have a screenshot of our dashboard, so it is not possible to navigate inside this dashboard, but you must keep in mind that on the left part we have the jobs title as they are expressed by companies. Clicking on a single job or single occupation, we can have in the center the skills that are required for assessed by companies for assessing to those the selected occupation, and we divided the skills in 3 different pillars. So the specialized skills, the soft skills, and the digital skills. Clicking on the typology of skills, you can drill down to see and look to the detailed skills required by companies. So it's a way of really of having a big view of a detailed view of the skills required by company. And this is also the tool that is used by the career service. When I said probably in this case the company is looking for a person that is able to manage sensors. I know for sure that you studied the sensors technology, so you must put those skills in your resume in order to be more employable for the companies and to increase the probability that you will be hired by a company.
So what this is saying is for robotics engineers, which is one of the strands connected to the artificial intelligence course program, on the right-hand side there, we can see the very specific skills being mentioned. So it's a mixture of, obviously IT and computer elements, but also electronics, which will be very different to the machine learning engineer or the artificial intelligence developer, where you'd probably see there's a stronger, well, you can see there's a stronger alignment to more of the standard digital skills that would be associated. So even within the same course area and the different roles that align to that course area, you've got quite a different skills mix, which reinforces why it's such a difficult job for educators to try and maximize the employability in a more generic way, and why this might suggest there might be strands within the wider program that specialize in some of the key in-demand strands, because the skills profiles, there'll be a lot of commonality, which may be part of the core program, but there'll be then specific skills that might be associated with a program elsewhere in the university that can be connected together to create something that works for a slightly different part of the labor market. So again, so granular, it's going to be very, very difficult to know that without this kind of information, the ability to interrogate.
Yeah. The next chart, we have the graphical distribution, because we have data from all the European countries. Okay, but
the UK, we can't count anymore as European.
You are European from a geographical point of view. You are European. Okay. Then we will discuss from a political point of view. But so we have the data from all Europe, but for their particular purpose, this university chose to have the data for the 5 most relevant European countries. So all the dashboard on the chart that we have just seen, we can have a deeper detail clicking on the single country. So if I want to see the situation, what's the skill situation, the trend of the web vacancy, and so on, I can choose the country. So this is a way of having also an analyze the geographical situation from a national point of view, but also, as you can see, for a regional point of view. So you can have the details for all the regions of these 5 countries. The idea is not why this chart, because they want to attract the students to Trento. So the message is, please come to Trento to study artificial intelligence systems, and I provide, so the professors must understand also the skills and so on that are mostly sought in the other European countries, but also is a way of giving students the right message, because if we take students from France or UK to Trento, the idea is not to hire the students in Trento or in Italy, is that the student will come back at home, and we are showing him the possibility of being hired in his nation.
A fantastic way of really reaching out and maximizing your recruitment reach by, as you say, not just showcasing what's happening in the local area for local students, but the ability to reach out and showcase, look, come study with us, and there will be jobs back home when you need them. And I think it's fascinating when you look, so Germany coming out as a strong market demand at a national level, But of course, and this is the value of having the granularity that you mentioned about drilling down. You can see the graph in the middle shows that, of course, it's not every part of Germany that necessarily is driving that national trend. There are some clear, obvious regional clusters where that demand is concentrated. So it's not just a generic message out to potential German students, but directly it's maybe starting to reach out into very specific regions where the employment opportunities are high, and you can really you can personalize your communications with that community and really showcase at a really detailed level, which I think is really important. And the way that labor markets work, they don't work to national borders. We aggregate up to look at comparability at a sensible level, but it really is about diving into localities where, as I say, the rubber hits the road, and that's where the opportunity, the real job opportunities is in those localities. So that's a really insightful view. Thank you. And then we're moving on to just the last one, I think, aren't we, in terms of the
last one is the sense is to provide information, not for the professor, because the professor are not interested in salaries and wages, but for giving a message to the students. Also, in this case, you can have the salary distribution among these 5 countries, but you can also choose a single country and to dive in the salary offered in the single country, just to have an idea, to give a feedback to the students, in order to say, when you will back home, you probably will be hired at this level of salary or wage. So in order to set up their ambition, what they hope for their future. So it's an interesting insight, because it's also a way of fine-tuning the students' hope, I think.
And also, maybe if students are wondering about maybe taking different course routes, whether it's artificial intelligence systems or other courses, and they want to maximize their own capabilities and capacity on graduation, then the ability to look between different study program areas, to look at the different, not just the demand picture, but also the wage profiles, might help to make choices throughout their education, to think about which opportunities give them the greatest opportunity, which courses give them the greatest opportunities, or align with their aspirations as well. So that ability to look to different countries but across different courses as well really does give a rich source of information to help with an informed choice based on outcome. Not just kind of picking a course because it looks nice, but actually thinking about where it might lead us to, and the choices we might make in terms of choosing the course, or even choosing, as we say, the modules and the study programs that sit beneath that as well. So a wealth of information, and of course we can't make great decisions if we don't have good information on which to base those decisions. That's a really valuable piece. So Marco, thank you very much for showing us this example, and it's great to see a live customer in Trento who are using this actively. So just by way of summing up, then we've seen the examples, we heard the drivers. Remind us of those kind of 2 prime use cases that we're seeing across universities and educators more generally, in terms of how they're using this.
Yes, just to give you a very quick recap, we have two use cases. We say that we use the tool for the course alignment. So in order to provide a lot of feedback to professors when they have to fine-tune their course, or they have to decide on new courses. The reason for which the University of Trent originally, a couple of years ago, decided to include also artificial intelligence is because they had to decide if it was worth to establish a new courses or not. So this is a way of deciding the university courses, having in mind what's the companies need, what are the requirements of the labor market. Okay. The second use case is mainly, as I said, for the career service, that they provide a lot of consulting services to the students that have gotten the degree, and they have to fine-tune their resumes, or also for students that are wondering if it is worth to go to Trento to study at that university.
Fantastic. Thank you, Marco. A good example, some good summary, and obviously critical factors, both of those services in the kind of key mission of education providers, and real drivers of success and growth and opportunity that can come from strong alignment to the labour market, and driving stronger employability as possible, particularly in a time, as we hear regularly, where it's difficult to access talent and find talent, and what we want to make sure that we are giving individuals the best chance possible to thrive and succeed, and not have to revisit and retrain all over again as they get ever closer to the labour market. So a very valuable thing in general, but particularly given the environment we find ourselves in globally, all around the world, facing that challenge of just not enough people with the skills we need to drive forward our businesses in different labour markets. So thanks for that summary. So if you like what you heard and you found that interesting and you want to explore more, well, we've got a special web page. You can see the URL on the page there, economicmodelling.co.uk/employability explorer. Head there, you'll see some resources and some information, and we would love to show you some data for your area and kind of help you look and explore into the information that we hold on what's driving employment activity. So if you head to that page, click the button, we will reach out and we'll set up a session where we can dive into data for your own area, so you can see what's happening and hopefully take some interesting insights, and we can talk a little bit more about how we might be able to help you leverage that kind of information for yourselves. In addition, we have another webinar coming up on the 21st of June, which extends this conversation, but very excitingly, we'll be bringing forward another customer, Acu Catalunya from Spain, who will be sharing with you guys and with us their experiences of bringing data like this to the community in Catalonia, both in terms of the educators that they work with and the universities in the region, but also their citizens in the region, and trying to make those connections there. So I would highly recommend bookmarking that, and we will be circulating registration details very soon, so keep an eye out on your emails for that. So I think that'll be a really interesting case study. And just to finish, we've got some really interesting things cooking actually, and I can't wait for us to be able to tell you more. This is going to be shrouded in mystery and secrecy right now, but through June and July, some big things will be coming out that we are preparing, both in terms of resources and products and data, and a whole host of goodies for you to explore and have a play with over the coming months. So always very much on the hush hush. I wish I could tell you more now, but we will certainly keep you posted and let you know, and keep an eye on our channels, and we'll communicate as we get closer to launching these very exciting services, some free resources for you to play with, as well as a revamped webinar series where we'll be starting to dive into the real big themes driving employment change, some of the themes that I mentioned earlier. So that'll be news coming soon, and we'll be excited to take you through that journey with us. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm mindful of the time, so I think we'll probably not have a moment now, sadly, to answer any questions, but we will pick those up and feedback as necessary. So feel free to log those and do reach out if we can help you. If you'd like to share your experiences on working in similar areas, or if you have any questions about the sorts of work that Trento and others are doing, then we'd love to share that. And as I say, if you want to have a little look at the labour market in your neck of the woods and think about what that means for the work that you're doing, then Marco and his colleagues from our Milano office would be delighted to share some insights with you. So do please feel free to reach out. So thank you, Marco, for your contribution again today. It was really interesting and good fun. So thank you very much. And thank you, Debbie, for hosting us again here. And we here in the UK, we're getting very busy and patriotic as we prepare for the Queen's 70th Jubilee and a nice long weekend. So I can guarantee it will rain. But I hope you have a great week in a couple of weeks, and we'll hopefully look forward to you joining us for the webinar in a few weeks' time with Acu Catalonia, which is sure to be very interesting. So thank you very much, and have a great day.
Bye.